I'm going to give the highly anticipated live action Avatar The Last Airbender a rating of a 9 out of 10. That's right, a 9 out of 10. And here's why. What to do? I'm Stu. Let me be your movie guy. Today, we'll be talking about Netflix's Avatar The Last Airbender. And before we get into this, let me just say that when you watch any type of remake or reimagining, you have to accept it as just that. It's a remake or a reimagining. It is not a direct one-to-one ratio, a carbon copy of whatever that IP or story is. So as far as this Avatar series, this live action Avatar series, you can't expect it to be exactly like the animated version. In my opinion, you shouldn't even want that. We all know it was amazing. It was a phenomenal show. We already know all those things. However, why would you want to watch something and you already know exactly how it's going to play out? You know word for word, scene for scene, shot for shot, how it's going to be, how it's going to look, how it's going to sound. I don't see how you can get any type of enjoyment out of that because you literally know what's going to happen. You know the lines, you know the dialogue. And I just feel like you're robbing yourself of the chance to experience something fresh and something new and something different that can either elevate the original or be on par with the original or just be a completely different take, period, that is very much enjoyable. And with that being said, I think that this Avatar, the live action series, does just that. It does a great job of being slightly different, and it can stand alone by itself from the animated counterpart. But I think it keeps the main ingredients of what makes the animated version special. For example, Uncle Iroh in the live action series, I think he did a phenomenal job. I shedded a few tears while watching the show, not gonna lie to you, because I feel like hearing the emotion and seeing the way that actor conveyed his sadness for losing his son in the war, I think he did a great job. To me, if I had to pick, I think I would pick the live action Iroh at this point in season 1. Obviously, we haven't seen Iroh develop in the seasons 2 and 3 like the animated series compared to the live action. But so far in this Netflix series, Iroh is probably my favorite character. And he still drops wisdom. He still drops quotes. He still is very impactful in Zuko's life. I thought it was a very nice change to see Iroh interact with Fire Lord Ozai in the Agni Kai, because we don't get that. We don't get that in the animated version. But I thought that was a nice addition because it's like you're painting Ozai as more than just this evil overlord. Ozai is more than that, and I thought that by having Iroh interact with the Fire Lord, we got to see more of Fire Lord Ozai on a human level, and I personally very much enjoyed that. Other highlights: Aang. I think Aang did a great job. The actor who plays Aang did a great job. Very childish, but also commanded scenes when things were very serious, like when he realized all of his nation, all of his people are dead. They're gone. They're not coming back. And seeing him wrestle with that and then pairing that with a Boomy that's more jaded and cynical, that was amazing. I couldn't ask for more. I know a lot of people were complaining, oh, this Boomy isn't as fun and jokey as the animated version of Boomy. But y'all, let's take a pause. For the animated version, it really sanitizes the genocide that the Fire Nation carried out. In the live action version, we actually get to see that play out and how terrifying and messed up that was. And I don't see how anybody could complain about that. Zuko was perfect. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about Zuko being sassy in this series. And honestly, Zuko has always been sassy. He's a brat. He's way in over his head for most of the animated series until later in the series. Although his development is regarded as one of the best character developments ever, obviously. And I can't wait to see that in the live action version. But Zuko in this live action version was pretty good to me. Like, I thought he did his job. He was, you could see how the abandonment of his father, or the mishandlings of his father, compared to how he parented Zuko and Azula, and creating this sibling rivalry between the two. I thought that was pretty good. I thought the actor that played Zuko did well. Which brings me to Azula. I think Azula I think the character that played Azula did solid. I'm not oversold on her, but I don't necessarily want to see her replaced. I think I need a little bit of better writing for Azula to really let that actor show her acting abilities. I feel like the live action version didn't give Azula much to work on, and the little that they did, she wasn't as impactful as she could have been. But I am curious to know how they are going to write her going forward, given the reaction that people are getting off of seeing Azula in this live action. Okay, so I know that this live action series pumps in a lot of things happening, but what else could they do? Like, nowadays, most series get 8 episodes, and they're like 40 minutes a piece-ish, right? So I don't know what people were expecting, like, especially with the knowledge that we already have from the animated version. It's like over a decade old, probably older than that. So I don't know what else people were expecting. Like, obviously they have to crunch stuff in. It's the same way if you watch a movie that's based on a book. Like, they have to crunch stuff in to fit the runtime. If they went over every single detail, people will complain, ironically, and say, man, there's nothing fresh, there's nothing new about this show, I don't want to watch this, it's garbage. And it's like, okay, then you're a pretty hard person to please, in my opinion. One of my favorite moments from the series is Leaves on the Vine, when, you know, in the animated version, Iroh sings that at his son's grave, but in the live action version, it plays a very slow instrumental during the funeral for his grandson. And the addition of having Zuko sit there with his uncle at the funeral, when everyone else in his family more so looked at it as his son was just another number to them, just another soldier that died in the war for the glorious purpose of the Fire Nation. Seeing Zuko sit with that man broke me down. With the grapes, with the Leaves in the Vine instrumental playing over it, and tears falling from the characters. I'm crying, they crying, we all crying. It's a good time though, because I feel like you really need to feel that to understand Iroh's philosophy on war and humanity and peace, and which will lead him to venturing out and studying the other nations, which also keeps him pretty well-rounded and informed. I just think that moment is probably one of my favorite moments in that show. And that is something that is not provided in the animated version, which is not a knock. It's just nice to see that play out in this way. I think that going forward, this live action Avatar is going to change people's minds. I think it's going to win over more people as time progresses, because from what I saw, it did get a ton of viewership. So I'm sure there will be a season 2 and 3 and whatever. But I think overall, the live action Avatar series was a 9 out of 10. So do with that what you will. Let me know your thoughts. As always, subscribe, post your comments, and share. So see you next time.